Hello again, welcome back JDM Escape. Hope everybody had a good Christmas, good New Year and all that. Obviously we're back all to work now, aren't we, because it's that kind of Monday. But you know, here we go. Right then. So that's where we left off under there. If you didn't see the last video on this car, you won't know why it's in pieces. So you'll have to drop backwards to that one, go take a look and see what we're doing and where we are. Right, what I'm thinking here is, I'm hoping I can get to these little balls. Like I said last time, I've parked it slightly in the wrong place. If I had it over the edge of there, I could easily just put the impact socket onto it and get to it. But I'm hoping I can get to that. That one on that side very slightly easier. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to wire wheel all of this surface rust off and underseal the whole thing. I might even look at dropping the fuel tank as well to do the same thing with that. But let's take a look. Let's see how it goes, because I don't want to, obviously don't want to ruin anything, but obviously while I'm hungry here, it's kind of worth doing it, because the front end's not too bad. It's literally the back end as usual. So let's see if we can get these off and we can clean it all up and put it back together properly. Then I think that's where we should do it. Alright then, unfortunately I can't get these off at all. I've had this bolt out, but the problem is because of this little plate with the two 12mm on, which has got now one 12mm on it, I managed to get this one out, but even if I get this out, I can't drop it out because the bolt just sits through the plate. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to call that not going to happen. So what I'll have to do is just skim up all this with a grinder, wire wheel on it, do as much of that as I can in place this time, and all of this obviously as well, which is easy to get to. Now, bear in mind that in the future anyway, if you already know what's going on with this car, this entire rear end will be off again, so anything I can't get to this time I'll have to do in the future and just park it accordingly and think about it a little bit more. I didn't really plan that, I just planned to get the rear subframe off. So. Right, let's do that. Let's get the grinder out, put the mask on and just knock all the disgusting rust off from under there. Right, I've covered the underside of the back of the car, I've gone over it with the grinder, knocked all the loose stuff off it, covered it all in the rust treatment that I always use, and while that's drying off, it's going to take a little while, I'll probably do that tomorrow now. I'm going to turn my attention to the old Subaru, the old rear end blister. So what we need is the entire thing into pieces, essentially. So if we take out the two bolts that hold those two rods on that go there, then we can split the drive shaft out, diff can stay in there to last, and then the same thing on there. We can take essentially all that to that side, that to that side, shafts will come out as I said, and then the diff will sit on its own. We'll strip that out afterwards. All we need to do is, because that is an MOT failure as well, we need to change that little link. So instead of leaving the bar intact, we'll just take it off there and do it that way. Now the way we're going to do this is, we will probably paint that new frame before it goes on. It definitely won't be going on how it is, obviously. But essentially these won't be getting any more treatment now. These will be going back on as they are, because as I said before, if you know what's going on with the car, you'll know that it's all getting full turbo setup put in it anyway, because it's not yet a turbo car, but it will be. So these are going back on for now. Just put the car back on the road while we get a few other things done. And as I said, this is all temporary, so put it back together. If it was getting like a full, you know, permanent rebuild right now, we'd go a whole lot further with it. But realistically, it doesn't need it just yet. We'll come to do all this when we change everything over. We'll change all the arms, I think, anyway, when we come to it. We'll put the uprated adjustable ones on. So let's get to that. So when I lay that clip into the footage, I'll probably speed it up quite a bit because that took some time. And that's because those bolts have probably never been out of this car. One thing I was happy about is the bolts weren't seized into the bushes on that side particularly, so that's that side off. I've now got to do the same for this side. And then, like I said, diff out the middle of that, but I just wanted to show you kind of what it's like. But as I say, that's probably took 15 minutes to get that out, to get two bolts and the drive shaft out. But as I said, I'll probably speed that up in the video so you won't get any kind of sense of it, but that's what it took to do it. So a quick update, I've got that subframe all stripped down now. There's nothing left on there that we need. Not at all, so that's the end of that one. And I also, when I didn't have the camera with me this morning, undersealed the back end of the car, so that's all now done. That looks a lot nicer, and obviously more to the point will be a bit more future proof. Obviously I didn't do the fuel tank because I didn't clean all the crap off it. I don't particularly like the grinder anywhere near it, so obvious reasons stayed away from that. Could do a little bit more up there, it's just a little bit thin on that part, but overall it's now quite nice and black. I'm not sure if the torch makes it too glossy, but we'll try it. Yeah, so next thing is I'm in the middle of painting the subframe, the new one over there. So that's all in primer at the moment, and what we'll do then is we can put, once that's painted, we can put all this, no, I think what we'll do actually is we'll put the subframe back under the car, and then in that case then we can just hang on the diff up to the subframe, and the other part of the subframe's up there, the cradle, and then we can just put the both corners on separately, because the whole unit together, the whole like rear end axle thing together is really heavy and really bulky, so it's quite difficult to get it up there on your own. I wouldn't recommend anybody trying that unless you are laid on the floor, just with a little trolley jack under there. That'll probably be easier, but I don't fancy it in the situation I'm in. So anyway, plan is paint that up and then lay the subframe under it, diff into it, and then each corner back together slowly. As I said, for now we're not painting any of these arms and stuff like that, because I will end up changing them when I actually put the adjustable setup on when we do the turbo swap on it. So that'll do for now. Right, get to painting that and we will build up from there, and then we can start looking at the exhaust once we've got the rear diff assembly on. Forwards. Update for you. So that is the header manifold that's off the front of the car, obviously. Little repair that I had to do there in the welds. So I've started painting that black, but I've run out of VHT paint, so I can't do any more of that just yet. Subframe's now sat there getting warm, ready for paint, so I'm just gonna paint that up now. All we're doing that with is, it's been primed. All we're doing it with is like just a 2K black, essentially just what's left in there, and that should, I'm hoping, be alright. Be pretty good. I'm not heading for any kind of like ridiculously show car finish look to it. It just needs to be a half decent black that hopefully will last. I was thinking about doing it with like the underseal that I've done the car with, but I wanted to try doing the black one because I've never done one like that, but I've done the underseal trick before. So I'm going to do that, I'm going to lay some paint on it and we'll see how it turns out. The downside of it is that it's pretty cold in here, so I've got the heater sat actually warming the metal up, and that's the same way as I did the manifold, which seems to have worked pretty well because it's dried quite quickly, but it seems to have set really well because the metal was warm. So we'll try that anyway, and we'll lay the black on it and see what it does. Let's go to that then. Right, and that's the subframe all painted up, all done. Obviously it isn't perfectly smooth and gloss black because I never, stripped it back completely and treated it. I knocked all the loose rust off, gave it a prime, and that's obviously treated it before it got primed, as you saw, and then painted it. So that's that's 2K gloss black, so I'm quite happy with that. That'll be fine. All I need to do now is put, when it's dry, 'cause it's still a little bit tacky, put the bushes in there, which is really easy to just pop in, which you will see, and then pretty much that can go back under the car, and then we'll start putting the diff and stuff like that back into it, and then start reassembling. Exhaust. Now this is literally like, I've just painted this, so some parts of it are dry and some parts of it aren't. It's like, as I said, it is cold in here today, so the heat's really helping it, but obviously it takes a little bit longer. Now it's gonna finish kind of like this, almost like a matty sort of grey dull black kind of colour, rather than being like this. I hope you can see this on camera. This looks kind of gloss black because that bit's still really wet, but once it warms up and it dries, which takes a little while, that all cleans up real nicely and looks sort of smoothish and black. Obviously my welds will stand out because I haven't bothered grinding them back. I've just the more function over form, because as I said before, it's all coming back out, you know, it's not staying in there for very long. Once I get the opportunity to put the full turbo setup in it, this obviously non-turbo UEL header is completely useless, so we won't use that ever again. Not on this car anyway. But yeah, that's where we're at for now. So that's that bit. Right. This will be the end of this video. I'll pick up in the next one, and hopefully in the next one we'll be able to get the entire car reassembled and sort out the exhaust system on it, because as I showed you in the last video, if you didn't watch that, go back, take a look, you'll know what I'm talking about. The exhaust works out a little bit too short, so if I can show you this is one of them. Let me show you this. So untidy here at the moment, but right, so we've got these. Now that one, that is a 3-inch exhaust flange, universal, and that is a 2.5. So that's what we're going with. Now my hope is that on the end of the sports cat, it's a little bit dark down here, but I'm hoping you can see. I'm hoping that we'll sleeve over that pipe. We can bolt that up to there, and then between the 2.5-inch flange and the 3-inch flange, because that's what the rest of the exhaust system is going to be, we can use this piece. So again, that is 3-inch on that side, 2.5 on that side, and then we should be able to just basically weld that to that essentially, and obviously that one and there. And the bonus of doing that is we can do it at whatever kind of orientation we need to. So if the bolts don't line up like that, we can do it like that, you know, whatever it works out at, once we've got the header manifold back on and everything else back under the car. So that's the plan. Right, as I said, I'm going to leave this video here, so keep an eye out, make sure you subscribe and you'll see the next one come up, and thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again.